Hi guys, so we're going to start out again with Elena Fairchild's Medicine Heart Oracle. I really like this deck, and I don't know, the whole concept of shamanism speaks a lot to me because I don't have like a defined belief, and shamanism is something that crosses barriers, it crosses cultures, and at the core is really what human spirituality is about. And I'm not talking about like individual tribes traditions, because I still feel like a lot of those things are sacred to those people, but the idealism of being one with nature and everything having an energy and a spirit is basically how we began to think about spirituality, right? Anyway, and the reason why I felt like saying that is because I feel like this card kind of encompasses that a little bit. So we have number 40 with Collective of the Southwest. And it says, your dreams are your own, yet they are part of a greater collective human dreaming. Your healing journey is your own, yet it is part of a greater collective of human healing. Your individual spiritual sovereignty is distilled through the intentional navigation of the collective energy fields of humanity's thoughts and feelings. You can support collective consciousness in awakening to love, rather than allowing it to hold you spiritually captive to a lesser way of fear. Break free from any collective madness by seeking the sanity of sacredness within. Through affirming your spiritual independence, which I'm huge on, you will more readily create your contribution to uplift the collective into the wisdom of the heart. And I'm so glad that I got this, because that is a big, if you've been with me for a while, you know that's like a huge thing for me, has been always trying to figure it out, and I feel like the biggest thing that I've always kind of felt, and why I felt like I didn't agree with a lot of things, is because I feel like we shouldn't fear creativity and nature and spirituality. It shouldn't be about you have to do something, because if you don't, there's consequences. Yes, we have to understand the natural law of things, and there are natural consequences in life. But at the same time, it's more of a gentle nudging, right? It shouldn't be that before you even experience something, you do something not out of the awe and respect and love for something. You do it because you're scared, right? It's like codependent relationships are like that. So I had like a article I wrote in a blog that I do, and it said something about, and it was titled Codependency with Spirit. So anyway, but I kind of feel like that's kind of what some things are. Anyway, so I feel like what this is saying is, yes, like there is like a connection. And sometimes I feel like we get caught up in like having to, it's crazy. This is kind of like my life story. But we get caught up in, forgetting that our individual healing and our individuality is what creates that bigger individuality in the collective. If somebody sees you being yourself and you bring to the table what essentially is you, that stimulates them to bring to the table what is them. But there's also this understanding of connection. There's an understanding of being loving in the aspect of allowing other people to do that, because that's where wars are created. That's where fear and hatred and jealousy, which are all stems from being unwhole. Honestly, that's how I feel. Anyway, so we'll go on to the tarot, and we have the World, which I feel like this is saying not only are we like completing a cycle collectively, but we are also personally. I also feel like this is saying that this is this is something that is part of a larger cycle. I mean, the world goes back, Mother Earth goes back, bazillions of years. And I am sure, because as a kid, I always loved archaeology too. And I always felt like when people would say, oh, the ancient people, how did they do that? They must have had help. Well, that's denying the ability of our innate natural creativity, right? The reason why we don't know everything that happened is because after a while, the earth just takes it back up, right? The earth just takes back her resources and starts again. So I kind of feel like we're at this cycle collectively. And I feel like this is also saying this is something that is affecting everybody. And then we have the Three of Wands, which to me is completely spiritual expansion and creative expansion right now. I feel like we're definitely at a point where That's what we're all kind of experiencing. That's why things feel a little wonky and weird. There's a lot of crazy stuff, but if you allow yourself to step away from that and focus on what can I do to better myself? What can I do to make my immediate situation and my surroundings better? That ripples out, right? If we focus on, oh, this is terrible and everything's going to suck, then it's going to be terrible and everything's going to suck. Not to say that like there aren't things that, are dire need and you actually have to take care of that. But if there's something you can't do anything about, dwelling on it is only going to bring you down and stall your progress. And then in my row of what we need to work on, or possibly it could be what's helping us, is we have the Page of Swords and we have the Eight of Wands. So we have this fast movement with the Eight of Wands and with the Page of Swords. Swords are fast movement too, but with the Eight of Wands, this is fast spiritual movement. Sometimes the Eight of Wands is also considered some love coming towards you. So I don't know if that's something for somebody, but I feel like it's more on a collective level. But maybe this is a huge momentum in the collective consciousness, accepting what really is unconditional love. And with the Page of Swords, this is it could be somebody who has a message, or maybe collectively we have a message, or this is an idea, some knowledge. The pages a lot of times are students. These are people that are passionate and have a youthful energy in whatever the element is. And a lot of times swords are knowledge and your mind. So there's a passionate need to really learn and explore all this fast-moving spiritual energy that's coming in. I had to pause and roll down a window. It's way too hot in here. But anyway, so you might hear a lot of like outside noises. So we have the Star and the Three of Pentacles for what is around us that we can use, whether it be our energy, people around us that we can, collaborate with or use as resources, and or if it's energy or an alignment that we really need to kind of encapsulate. So we have the Star, which a lot of times is a hope, and it's kind of that hope, and it's a lot of times it is wish fulfillment. It is taking that energy from when we had that tower, that lightning strike, and when that energy goes into the ground and it tumbles the tower, that energy has to go somewhere, right? So it's rebirthed in a way. So definitely, we learned a lot of things and we've been through a lot of things collectively, but I think we're at a time where that energy needs to go somewhere. It needs to go in a positive way. And then we have the Three of Pentacles, which a lot of times the Three of Pentacles is collaboration, but it's also crafting your masterpiece. It's taking a little bit of a more detailed approach at crafting that, looking at the different pieces and collaborating with others and taking the things from around us to kind of help us create what we're looking to create. And with the Star, being that this is our sometimes our wish fulfillment and our hope, this can kind of be like, we need to take that and use those aspects to really help us craft what we're trying to do in our life. Maybe this is like a manifestation. I mean, there are like 3s and 8 all over through this reading. So 333, 888, 3838, whatever. I feel like this is, definitely manifestation and prosperity, but this is prosperity, I feel, on a collective level, in a deeper level. For me, prosperity is not only being able to pay your bills, but it's also being able to have emotional fulfillment. And also we got to kind of look at the Star too. The Star is, if you look in this card, and I love this deck, this is one of my favorite decks, with the Crow Tarot. And, that crow has his wings wide open and he's, got his feet in the water, right? So he is allowing himself, he or she, to be completely vulnerable. And that is really kind of what hope and faith is. It's allowing yourself to be vulnerable and allow the things to come at you because you trust that you're going to be okay. You're living in your truth, and what comes is going to only make you better, or it's going to give you the confirmation that you need. And so the end part of the tarot, I have the Eight of Swords, which, that can totally be, overthinking. And as an Aries as an Aries sun, a Pisces moon, and a Gemini rising, and I also have Pisces in my my Mercury too. So like, I mean, my overthinking is beyond a thing, but I'm learning to deal with that. But if you look at it, this bird is able to just get rid of it and go. So we got to think, is this bird making the conscious decision to kind of step back and either take a moment to kind of let these things muddle in their mind, or do they need to allow themselves to release it, or are they waiting for a time to release this? And then we have the Lovers on the bottom, and the Lovers, that can be about connection. It can also be about when in the Major Arcana, this is a card that symbolizes that beginning of the duality. So this is where we start to understand how the outside affects our inside. This is that concept. That concept doesn't have to be an internalized thing where people think it is. It's more about understanding our effect on the greater whole and the greater whole's effect on us. But also the Lovers can be about decisions, and maybe we have to kind of make that decision to kind of take off the blindfold and release the restrictions, right? Because we're at this time in this world where if we're following our dreams and we're really working on our core selves and manifesting that prosperity as far as like emotional, spiritual, whatever that dream of yours is, really releasing that in yourself is not only going to help you, but it's going to help the collective. Because I feel like what this is kind of saying is not to allow the things that are going on around us to affect our dreams, to affect our spirituality, and don't let things restrict you. Hugely, I feel like that's a big part of it too, because I think we can easily look at things that are going on and be terrified and say, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with that. And if you look, I have a Liminal Forrest Oracle. Choices is right next to this line. So this is obviously about making that choice to do the work on yourself and not be afraid to allow those, 8 swords to kind of bog you down, and not to allow all those outside noises to kind of stress you out. And again, with the walls next to the 8 of Swords, she is kind of building a wall around her. But maybe that doesn't have to be a negative thing. Maybe you need to make a choice to wall up the distractions, right? Don't wall yourself up from connections and understanding, and don't be blind to the things that are happening, but allow yourself to maybe kind of not connect with the negative aspect of everything that's happening. Because in reality, if it's something you can't do anything about, how does that help you? And really doing what you love and progressing and showing that you're not afraid, right? That only makes the things that are trying to make you afraid realize that it's not working, right? It's kind of like when you see, and I don't know why this analogy is coming up, maybe it means something for somebody. Like, if you see in like nature videos, when you have like a wild cat or one of those big cats, like a lion, and they lose that element of surprise on the prey, they'll give up, right? So if you don't allow the things to scare you, if you allow yourself to continue doing your work within yourself, your healing, your dream, continue working towards what you love to do, all that does is show other people that all is not lost, that you are able to do these things. So I hope that made sense. And then I have 2 crystal angel oracles. And I'm so sorry for the background noise, but first one is Unakite, answered prayers. All your great work has opened the door for divine solutions and support. Yeah, it's almost like giving into the negative is kind of like not having faith, right? And I am not a organized religion person at all, but I did grow up Midwestern America, so I grew up in a Christian church and all that. So there are some things that all of these beliefs that we have kind of have a little bit the same type of thing. And that's what I believe faith is. Faith is the star card. It is the hope. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to trust that things are going to turn out the way that they're supposed to, and that if not, I'm protected and I'm able to get through it. And then we have Malachite with prosperity. There's a positive shift in your flow of divine support. So that's 2 cards right there, just saying, yeah. So if this is somebody that's, feeling a little worried, and maybe you're hesitant on stepping forward in something, and maybe if it is in a relationship, kind of like have that faith in really, we all have the ability to use our intuition. Count on your own self because you understand the situation better than anybody else. And then we have 2 Herbal Astrology oracles. And I believe I had these 2 before. I don't know. But yeah. And I have number 8 with Babansana. I said it wrong. Whatever. Good job, budding herbalist. But if you look, there is a whale in the card, and there's also a whale in the Medicine Heart Oracle. And whales, they are about community, communication, spirituality. They're also about remembrance and dreams. So maybe somebody is having some messages in their dreams. I don't know. But those are some messages you need to pay attention to. That is the Moon and Neptune. And the Babansana was, it's an herb that in some tribes is used in spiritual cleansing and shamanic cleansing. So a lot of times that would give them certain dreams and prophetic dreams, but it would also give them this kind of like overwhelming like trust. And, you know, they're allowing spirit to show them and put them into these spaces. So they're allowing and they're dropping down those walls, right? So they're also allowing themselves to be vulnerable in the waters, just like the star. And then you have lion's mane, which is, you know, that's, you know, the ability to adapt. I always say that with lion's mane. And you have Mercury and Uranus, and yes, I giggled again inside. But it is all about having that brave leadership, but not in a way of an authoritarian who says, this is the way it should be. This is not about creating a new world of, you know, hey, this is how we need it to be. This is a new aspect in, not even in our own ideas. This is allowing people to have that creative freedom and the ability to express themselves in a loving way. That's honestly what universal love is. And I feel like that people get that misunderstood all the time. It's just like you can forgive somebody, but you don't have to keep taking their crap. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing. Like, you love just because you love. You see the ups and downs in somebody. You see yourself in somebody. You see the nature in somebody. You see the divine in other people. You see that, okay, well, this is working in this person. And whether you can help them or not, sometimes you just kind of have to step back and love them, right? And leadership is a lot like that. That's how it should be. And true leadership, it should be about, you know, using that Uranus type mind where we're, you know, Uranus is about having ingenuity and doing things different against the grain, but it's also about huge humanitarianism. I couldn't say that word. I couldn't form it. And then Mercury is, yeah, all about, you know, thoughts and intelligence and having fast-moving ideas, but using that in a creative and humanitarian way. I hope this made sense. It was kind of all over. It was hot, and there was a lot of outside noises, but ultimately, love yourself so you can love others. Allow yourself to really be creative, and don't let all the crap get in the way, right? Don't let the chatters ruin what matters. I said that the other day, and Aquarius rising 23. She thought that was funny, so I thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you guys for still sticking with me, and I'm hoping to do some shorter readings because, I don't know, these are getting really long. I love you, and thank you so much.